you have a lot to do, even though stocks are suspended, at least trading from the NYSE.
Well, right. So it's important to remember that this is the NYSE that's suspending trading. Stocks listed on the New York Stock Exchange still trade on any number of other venues.
Correct.
So they're still trading on the NASDAQ, still trading on all BATS's markets. This is just the NYSE shutting down their systems as they deal with an issue. There have been sort of a stream of these alerts that come out explaining the issue. Earlier, they said they were probing technical issues in some symbols. And earlier,
why are you doing this? Let me just bring up a chart taking a look
Yep.
at the volume of trading at the New York Stock Exchange so that you can actually put this into some context, because trading has been moving away from the floor for many years, and what, about 80% of the trading is outside the United States. I mean, outside of the NYSE.
That's right. And, you know, when you talk about the NYSE anymore, you're not really talking about the floor at all. You're talking about their electronic marketplaces and the market, MKT, as they call it, that exchange, the all-electronic exchange, formerly Archipelago, that they bought several years ago. So basically, you're looking at one of the biggest stock exchange operators in the world right now shutting down trading. The other exchanges should be able to handle a lot of the volume, but this is sort of an unprecedented issue. We've had NASDAQ shut down trading a few years ago when one of its computers that processes trades crashed. NYSE hasn't really had a shutdown like this as far as I can remember. So this is it's a big issue.
Indeed, even during the financial crisis, one of the points that Duncan Niederauer, then the chief executive of the New York Stock Exchange, said that the exchange continued to function normally and process all trades.
Right. Even during Hurricane Sandy, all the major exchanges said we should be able to trade through this. It was just a matter of getting people, you know, at brokerages and traders getting to the office. That was what shut it down for Sandy. They were prepared and could have potentially just traded right through the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy. But this sounds like some sort of connection problem, connecting either the New York Stock Exchange's own computers or its computers outside to other traders. So still developing. We don't know a lot about exactly why they did it, but you know, as of now, the New York Stock Exchange is not trading.
Not trading. And does this then mean that there maybe will be some follow-on effect? Because if you can't get a price discovery for a certain number of shares, in other words, if you're trying to sell or buy large blocks of stock, would this have a specific effect on that?
In theory, it could. It's hard to say how it'll all flesh out. I mean, the other exchanges should be able to absorb all the trading and the dark pools, the electronic exchanges. There are so many across the country, dozens of them, that they should be able to absorb all this volume. But that said, you know, who knows? There's all sorts of questions that this is going to raise, and hopefully we'll know more soon.
Well, you're taking a look at a live shot of the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, and it looks almost empty in terms of traders. Go ahead.
So sorry, Pam, just to jump back in here, you know, I spent 2 years working on the floor of the stock exchange. I know a lot of the guys down there. The reason the shot you're seeing right now looks empty is because everybody has moved over to one side of the floor, and they are all currently standing at the operations ramp trying to get information. Now, one of the problems, and I've talked to a bunch of guys down the floor just now, is that they've broken all trades and sent them back to the broker level. So everybody outside of that blue line that surrounds all of these trading posts are the brokers standing out there. They've got their orders, but they can't put them through for technical reasons. The New York Stock Exchange, when Duncan Niederauer left and management shifted hands, kind of fired a lot of the operations guys that would normally deal with a problem like this for the floor traders, right? Because floor trading is obviously separate than the computer trading. Now they don't have that layer of management, and they're not able to get the information disseminated to brokers like Felix, who you see in the background there standing in his camel jacket. So right now, nobody on the floor really knows what the trading glitch is. And previously, you may have had a better chance of having the human traders actually be able to work some of this order flow through, but you can't do it right now because they can't deal with the technical glitch.
Right, and even the humans you see on the floor there are actually trading over handheld devices anymore. They're not, you know, there's no more open.
Right, there's no open outcry. Matt, I'm wondering if you could just talk a little bit about what the actual process is right now for someone who would want to trade stock. I mean, what would it be normally?
You could get your order down to a broker. For example, you could get your order down to Jonathan Corpina or Joe Greco. They sit outside of the blue line there, but they can't put the order through the system because they would normally want to go into one of the traders. He would put it through, as Michael mentioned, his handheld, and then they would
see what price you can
make the market.
Right.
But they can't do that right now for some technical reason that isn't being exposed, isn't being disseminated to the people on the floor.
All right, as you speak, I just want to bring up a chart of the Dow intraday so that people can see what was going on earlier today, and then you see this flat line that just occurs just before noon, as we come up on trading today here at noon. A little bit more on the actual process of what goes on now versus what used to happen when you had the open outcry. You don't have any real market makers on the floor. You have no one committing their own capital, do you, to the inventory of stocks that are there?
You do. They're just all electronic now. It's all shifted, obviously, to high-speed electronic market makers. So for your average,
who don't have a commitment, really, do they? I mean, do they have a commitment to maintain liquidity in a variety of stocks?
Well, that's open to debate. Yes and no. Not quite. A lot of people would argue not quite as firm as the guys on the floor.
Well, even back in the day, it was really a commitment of honor, wasn't it?
Right.
I mean, if you were truly freaked out, you were going to get out of that market as well. You weren't going to risk too much of your own capital there. But yeah, ever since Regan MS put the genie back in the bottle. Let the genie out of the bottle, yes. I should say. That idea has been gone, which has made, I guess, putting through trades cheaper, but it's also made the whole market a little bit darker and messier and more difficult to understand.
Just a report that our producer, Ben Gelden, is telling me that there is a spokeswoman from the New York Stock Exchange who says that the stock exchange is shut down for technical reasons, certainly an underwhelming statement there. But
it's important to point out that this connection issue appeared to pop up before the market even opened today, so it's not necessarily a result of heavy trading we're seeing today, with the market down.
But it certainly can't be good if you combine this with what has been going on in China and the ban on stock sales in China by corporate executives or large shareholders for 6 months. So you've got a combination of effect, not being able to get prices on a variety of issues.
Right, and these issues do tend to spook people a little bit and definitely can undermine confidence a little bit.
This could spook people a lot. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to be an alarmist or a sensationalist, but look, it's scary to see the headline, New York Stock Exchange suspends all trading. This should be the NYSE, kind of the last bastion when everything else fails. These guys on the floor are the people who make it work.
Well, if you don't have anyone on the floor, there's no one or fewer people to make it work, then you don't have anyone. I just want to show the stock trading so far today, and you can take a look at this, the big move down that started earlier in the day, then a bit of buying, and now as we see approaching noon, we see a considerable sell-off. The Dow is down more than 1.2%, S&P 500 down more than 1.25%. We've lost more than 217 points on the Dow, and moving lower as well on the S&P 500. The NASDAQ has also declared what they call self-help against the NASDAQ and the Amex. We'll get more details. You see the NASDAQ also falling nearly 1.5%. Mike?
Right, and self-help is a process that they invoke when it means they're having problems communicating with the New York Stock Exchange, and so they're no longer going to route orders to them. Exchanges are sort of required to route orders to wherever the best price is.
Best execution.
Right. So now, the whole market is basically operating around the NYSE. They're routing orders to each other, but avoiding the NYSE until they get this issue solved. Again, it's important to remember, if you are trading on your E-Trade or your Schwab account at home, or even if you're a hedge fund, any institutional trader,
right,
you can still trade these New York Stock Exchange listed stocks. They are still trading, just not on the NYSE.
All right, and also word for the New York Stock Exchange that all open orders, as you said earlier, have been canceled.